Hey guys, and thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Designated Pundits. Today, May 19th, we're talking about MLS Week 14. We're going to kind of recap what happened, talk about some of the highs and the lows. Stay right there. Busy week for me heading into the Memorial Day weekend, but we have 1 week of Major League Soccer left before the World Cup break. If you're watching now, make sure you subscribe. This summer for the World Cup, we have a special announcement. We are teaming up with the guys from Soccer Sharps. They do a lot of European betting, one of the best podcasts out there. So make sure you follow the Soccer Sharps. I think we're going to do the audio stream on their RSS feed, but we're going to do the YouTube videos here. And it's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to be watching every World Cup game, basically, yeah, probably.
Yeah, basically.
We don't have an excuse. It's in our country, so it's not like we need to wake up at 3 a.m., right?
Exactly. Yeah. It's kind of geared towards us, isn't it?
That's all I want to talk about. I don't even care about MLS right now, which is odd because I'm one of the guys who watches like 80% of the soccer I watch is Major League Soccer. I'm not like a European soccer guy who dabbles. I'm like the exact opposite. I watch American soccer, and when I can, I catch some other stuff.
Yeah, you know what? It's been interesting. I used to watch a lot more European soccer than I do now. I used to watch 90% of Champions League. I used to watch huge chunks of the EPL season. I caught Bundesliga games every year. La Liga, Serie A, and stuff like that. And that's it. I still watch some of that, but not nearly to the level that I used to do. Since starting this show, actually, like my investment in Major League Soccer in order to like say intelligent things on the internet has really just led me to investing a lot more of my time and energy and stuff. But like the thing is Major League Soccer continues to entertain me in a way that it's not like I'm like, okay, I watched Major League Soccer on Saturday night, and now I'm like, I really do need to get up on a Sunday morning at 5 a.m. to catch, a European team playing because I need to remind myself like what good soccer looks like or some nonsense, right? Like, no, I am entertained and I see good soccer in my time zone like every week.
Absolutely. All right.
It's a little
I completely agree, and I like the fact that I can watch any game, and Seattle Sounders can drop points to the LA Galaxy. I mean, I don't like that happened because I had money on that match, but I like the plausibility that anyone could win any match, and even when Lionel Messi's playing against a bunch of 16-year-olds, you don't know that conclusions are foregone. And that's how I feel about the World Cup too. Now there's going to be some real stinkers, and there's going to be some real stinkers in the first round, but I'm still pumped because it's that game. Enough can happen. I remember watching USA Belgium live and watching Tim Howard stand on his head and stop 35 shots. I was of legal drinking age in a bar down in Hoboken somewhere. But that's the place where On the Waterfront was shot. It's going to be a lot of fun.
It's one of those things. There's been a lot of things
hype
in the lead up to the World Cup that have made me unhappy about it. As soon as the first ball is kicked, I'm going to be stoked.
It doesn't matter because nothing else matters. Politics doesn't matter. This stupid peace prize doesn't matter. It's all nothing until the ball gets kicked. And you know what? Sit at home in the pool, watch the games. You're going to have more fun than going live anyway. That's kind of how I feel about it. I'd love to go to a final live. It's not, I don't have $60,000 laying around. So just enjoy it for what it is. And we can talk about politics and all the other stuff behind it. And I'd probably agree with most people watching this channel, like shaking their fist. But once that ball kicks, it's like, okay, it's happened. The corruption's happened. Let's just watch the soccer now.
Yeah, Max Bretos put out something on social media to that effect. the other day to be like, look, I know, I get it. The lead up to this has been disappointing in specific ways, but when the World Cup kicks off, when it really kicks off, you're going to forget about all that. And he's right.
I compare that to like people in America who don't watch Major League Soccer unless look, you have no obligation. You watch whatever makes you happy. But
Yeah.
like support local soccer. Like what are we doing? If you're that big a fan and like tickets are nothing, you know,
Oh
like
yeah.
you could hate it, you could rail on it, but just enjoy it. It's soccer. It's all the good and all the bad. It's coming to America real soon. But we're not here to talk about World Cup, are we?
No, in fact, I would like to take us in a very different direction. I'd like to talk about Major League Soccer. I'd like to talk about coaches who used to be employed and are not.
Yeah, that's kind of the big story, and I think we're going to see a lot of that. The thing about the World Cup is it's breaking the season into two parts, whether you want it to or not. We're getting, you know, the Mexico Apertura, Clausura, whatever, whether we want to or not, and that's going to change a lot for us making the predictions each and every week. But I think teams have a chance now to go out and get your guy, get rid of a couple DPs, sign a couple new guys, cut some stuff off your roster. And if you are Austin, you could lose to Sporting KC and fire everyone.
Yeah, yes, that's really the move that brought this up into the hot topic of the week territory. Austin fires Nico Estevez and their sporting director, whose name I didn't write down because I didn't care. I actually did write it down somewhere else. Roto Burrell. Look, it's embarrassing. This is the kind of accountability though that if you are a Euro snob, this is the kind of accountability you want to see in Major League Soccer. Because yes, Major League Soccer is unpredictable, but Sporting Kansas City right now sits in a very unique category. Going into the season, they did not have a full roster of senior players. They have added like one or two reasonable additions for a Major League Soccer roster, but as a team, they're still not up to par. Teams should not be losing to Sporting Kansas City without exceptional circumstances. And most definitely, you should not be losing to Kansas City when you are at home. And Austin did that. They lost to Kansas City at home. I'm going to talk about this game later, but this is accountability for Austin, you know, really heading in a bad direction and not improving. But you have
The hire was that though, right? Nico Estevez was not a sexy hire. He had actually done pretty well with Dallas, 35, 32, and 30 career record, plus 12 goal differential. I mean, this is a guy who was an interim coach in Valencia for like 4 games or something. Went to FC Dallas, did a non-spectacular, but not bad job either. I remember when he was hired for Austin, it was like, well, this is a guy you know. And it was like, well, yeah, some fans really do like him. And I guess he's known to Texas, but not the kind of hire that's really going to push the needle.
Yeah, it wasn't the big money hire, but it was one of those hires where you're like, this is a guy who knows the league, and this is a guy who has a floor that you thought would be pretty reasonable. That you're like, hey, the worst that this guy will do with us is we'll just be like a middling team. But I think the combination of him with the roster, you know, that really didn't work. And I got to be fair though, they've got some injuries that are not helping them. Having, you know, Owen Wolf not be fit at all this season, like he is a huge chunk of that team. Which look, your team shouldn't rely on one person, but
I don't
but
want to
but then
let
missing out on, like, you can't spend all the money that they spent on an offense and then have right. Well, and then have I'm blanking on his name now. The center forward who doesn't score any goals.
Christian Ramirez or Brandon Vasquez. Say either one because they're in the same boat.
Brandon Vasquez is the guy I'm thinking of. Look, last year was the year he was supposed to do things and be, you know, if not a Golden Boot contender in that conversation, right?
Yeah.
He was supposed to really lead the team from the front. And yes, he had the injury, but even before that, he wasn't he wasn't close to that conversation, not really.
No,
And
he was bad. It was the opposite. He scored like 3 goals in like a season worth.
yeah, he was very wasteful, and there was no indication that the recruitment was going to fix that.
And that's why you don't see the coach get fired. You see the coach and the sporting director get
And the
fired. I
sporting
mean,
director, yeah.
this roster has so much money tied up in the offense, but the rest of the team is put together pretty haphazardly. I mean, you got Ilie Sanchez as like the midfield stalwart. I mean, okay, is that what we're doing?
Yeah,
You got
like
guys like
years
Dubersarski who just
after,
sit on the bench and don't get any better.
yeah, years after LAFC says, "Thanks for your services. You're a legend of the club, but we have to stay, relevant, and you're past it." And they move on from him, and Austin is like, "Can't bench you." You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that's rough. I also want to talk about the Columbus Crew, who finally let go of their coach, Henrik Rydstrom.
Now, I think that is fine, I guess. But to me, this is a general manager. I mean, this roster is garbage. Someone saw something
Yeah.
in Gazdag and said, oh, he can score 30 goals when they're not 25 penalties. Apparently, you can't.
Yes, yes, this is the point. Their roster construction has been atrocious, and I'm not out here to say that Daniel Gazdag's not a good player, but to think that Daniel Gazdag was going to replace any meaningful, portion of the goal contribution that you had before from Cucho and Christian Ramirez is wild, because he's never been that guy. When he doesn't get the penalties, that's not his game. And it's not that he's not a good player. He's a nice player, but he's not that guy. And now you're looking at Daniel Rossi to increase on his already good production, and you're asking Wessam Abu Ali, before he got hurt, to basically be two other forwards who were, star players on their own. And to be both of those guys, like, that's insane. That's insane from a general manager perspective.
Yeah,
And
I agree.
I don't know anybody with eyes, much less data, would know better.
Yeah, look, I think Daniel Gazdag is still a really good player. I think he could do well in a lot of places. I think Red Bull would be a great landing spot for him, but he's just not one of those guys. And we need to know this about Major League Soccer, really about world soccer, right? This is a world soccer issue. A player plays well somewhere, and then you think they can play well everywhere. Gazdag, we kind of thought, like, okay, he's not going to play as well there. He is getting old. He's on the wrong side of 28 at this point in his career. And I just don't think he's a plug and play kind of guy. And then looking at the back line, like, once Herrera and Arfston are gone, this isn't even a good soccer team. You lost Arlington Nagbe, the one of the best midfield players in Major League Soccer history. Mm-hmm. You let Lassi Lapalainen go. Derek Jones had his option declined. And then who did you bring in? Jamal Tiare? Cool. Like, where is the ambition there?
Yeah, it's nice. He's nice. We on the show, we like him, but it's not the same. He's not gonna take you to the promised land all by himself.
And I think, in the end, it's the lack of progression of the players that lands on the coach. Like, you can do what you can with your roster, and it can be a bad roster, but players still kind of get better over time. But certainly you don't want the team to get worse over time. And Crew have not put anything together that is worth. I mean, how many times have we mentioned Columbus Crew in our prediction videos? Very seldom. And they were like an every week just 2 or 3 years ago. Good and bad. They're unpredictable, and they're in bad form. They're high risk. They played 3 straight home games. They lost to both New York City clubs. That's going to happen. To me, the question is, like, what was it about drawing the Philadelphia Union that said it was time? Like, that's kind of what I'm not getting, because the writing's been on the wall. The team's been in bad form all season long. Why now?
Yeah. The lack of identity has been really clear for a long time. The inability to get results, you get involved in shootouts with teams that don't do that. Can't score goals against teams you should score goals against. The evidence has been there. It's just been too slow.
23 goals in 14 games this season, not looking great. And I did want to say, with one game left before the break, I guess they can try some new things out, get someone else in there. They did have, I'm looking at it now, April 23rd, 25th, they had back-to-back wins in like 3 days. That's why he kept his job. And then when it didn't turn around, they said, oh crap, it's too late. Now we have to, it would have been nice to try something new before the break, but we'll see where that team's going to be headed.
Yeah. I want to talk about 2 other teams who are with interim managers. Just really quickly, we got plenty of other stuff to talk about. Orlando still under an interim head coach, Martin Perlman. They let go of their head coach, I think in like mid to late March. And then Miami still with Guillermo Hoyos as the interim head coach after Mascherano stepped away. Or stepped away, I guess, air quotes, that one in a big, big way. But those are 2 teams that I think underperform their talent. And I know that like Miami, obviously Miami was supposed to compete for all the trophies this season, and so far is competing for like none of the trophies this season. But Orlando is the team that I would say like the roster build is actually not that bad.
Yeah, and the interesting thing is they've turned it around a little bit. They're still conceding at a huge pace, but the offense started scoring.
Yeah, and until it didn't last week. That
fair.
Until it didn't against Atlanta, but you're right. Like things have started to improve since the coaching change went into effect, and Martin took over as the interim manager. But that's a group that I would look to, at this like break, this is an opportunity. Get somebody in who's going to have a little bit of time with at least most of the roster to implement some ideas. Because this Orlando team should be an offensive show every week. They have tons of talent, and they have good talent in the midfield as well to control the ball and to make passes and things like that. But they should be a show every week and fun to watch. And they just really haven't been that with any sort of consistency. And now they're going to add Griezmann to that roster. So I think
that's huge to me because they have a underperforming DP problem they have for a long time.
Yeah. And look, he's not going to fix their defense, and he's not going to fix their possession problem, because against Atlanta ran that game. Atlanta controlled the ball, they controlled the possession. Orlando scored pretty early in the game and then just shut it down. Just were ready to pack it up and go home, with like 75 minutes to play. That cannot be the identity for that team.
Which is funny because that's what Orlando has done, right? Like they get in this, bunker defense, and it's like, hey, we're going to let it go 8-8 final score. And then all of a sudden they score, and it's like, okay, guys, hit the brakes, air brakes, and we'll go in with a draw. Really interesting. And they play Cincinnati. That could really be a shootout this next upcoming week.
It should be. That's who those teams have been. We'll see. Orlando controls a lot of that. They choose whether or not to do it. Should we move on? Performance of the week here. I don't have much more to say about head coaches. Hopefully we'll see some changes. There's a few other guys on the hot seat, but I think there's opportunity for at least those 4 teams to really improve.
Just going into Miami, just really quickly, they don't need a coach. They need a psychiatrist. That's really what they need running that team.
They do.
3 great results in a row. They finally got their first win at home. They're scoring in droves, but the fans were booing, and Rodrigo de Paul showing he's pointing to the crest. No, he wasn't pointing to the crest. He was pointing to the star above the crest. He's like, I gave you a star. Show some respect. Yeah. That's what that was. Like, he wasn't being gracious. Come on.
No,
What a mess.
Yeah, I don't think the whole like, oh well, we fight for the badge, like love it. No,
Not what he
like
was doing. Not what he was pointing at.
the sense of entitlement in that, such a sidetrack, but the sense of entitlement around that whole club is crazy. The players are entitled, like that anywhere they go, they should, the fans should defer to them, and the other teams should defer to them, and the refs should defer to them, and all of that. And then, and then that sense of like we don't owe anything back, but then the fans, likewise being like, well, you should acknowledge us after every game all the
Yeah.
time, and you should all the stuff, and the fans not being like, well, hey, you guys are out there working hard and you're 3 wins on the bounce, or two, well, they were 2 wins on the bounce before that game, but like I'm sure that it's not nearly as bad as the fans wanted it to make it out to be. And it's just the whole thing, like I would not touch that culture with a 10-foot pole.
Love it. However, I'm going to go with Messi as my performance of the week. Just because he played 2 games, 2 goals and an assist against Cincy midweek, a goal and an assist against Portland this weekend. He's playing 90 minutes in every game, which is a little bit of a surprise to me. He took more time off last year when he wasn't preparing for a World Cup. He's running around like a 14-year-old out there, man. Like he is having fun. He looks really good. Some of the drop passes that he made, I mean, he is running into defender. He's running into triple coverage, and the ball is finding a way through. I guess people who watch Messi more regularly throughout his career would be less surprised. And I'm not surprised. I don't think that's a good word, but I am impressed, especially at his advanced age, that he's even playing this many minutes heading into the World Cup.
Yeah, he could absolutely say, play me 30 minutes a week, a game or whatever. He could totally dictate that. His inclusion in Argentina's squad is if he wants to be there, he will be there. He could absolutely be resting himself, but he's not. He's choosing to go out there and work hard, which is, you're right, it is impressive for somebody with his position. For me, I really want to call out Sam Sarver. Sam Sarver, just a late winner. He gets the moment for me, not because his winner for Dallas, not only because it was a plus 1.9 units for the show, not because it was this beautifully composed and clinical finish against Daniel, against San Jose, who is a good goalkeeper. He had a lot of time to think about it, didn't overthink it, put it past like it was easy. No, he gets it because this is an honest to goodness, like MLS heritage moment. Because he's this young kid. He came up through like the youth leagues and through MLS Next Pro and stuff like that. And then what does he do? He goes out in front of the San Jose section, gets his teammates, and he does the scuba celebration off the wall with the scuba drop. That was just a beautiful thing. Then there's a beer that's thrown onto the field. So what does he do? He picks it up and shotguns it. Just absolute iconic moment here. That's MLS heritage. It's wild. It's fun. It's absolutely beautiful. And I love that he did an interview about the celebration afterwards, and he said that he didn't know about it, but his coach told him about it, told him stories about somebody who did that, and said, don't do this. And so he was like, bet I'm going to do this. It's absolutely great. That is what MLS is about. Top tier
Now,
for me.
when I was reading your notes and I said that he said, don't do this, and I do remember that interview, but I was just thinking quickly, like, what part of the celebration shouldn't he do? Like, you don't want to hit your head going over the wall, but shotgunning a beer, okay, that could work in Major League Soccer. Don't go to Azteca and drink the beers they throw at you. That is wrong kind of foam.
True story. That is a different liquid in there.
Next, underperformances of the week. I already kind of hinted at this. Seattle losing at home to the Galaxy. Areola missed big chance that had 0.69 XG on it. Masovsky missed chance. Seattle had 1.53 XG to 2.24, which actually, as much as it favors the away side, since teams overperform their XG at home and underperform it on the road, it's probably a little closer to being even than it should have been. I can't trust another team, Seattle. Every time I've picked them this year, they have underperformed. They've done something astounding like this. I just can't get it.
Yep, they've let me down every time I've picked on them as well. They are a team, we talked about rosters a minute ago. They are a team who fundamentally are good at roster building, but they have not done good roster building around the highest impact position, which is that striker position. Jordan Morris is a forward who really does a little bit better off the wing. Is not always the highest volume goal scorer. Jesus Ferreira, you know, again, was kind of supposed to be that guy, has done better as like an underneath playmaker.
He looked pretty good with Rusnak out when he was starting as a number 10.
He did. But again, it's just not consistent goals. He looks good. His best position looks good, but somebody's got to put the ball in the back of the net, and they don't have that guy. Osazi de Rosario is a promising young guy. He's 24, I guess, but like, is it him? I've watched him enough to say it's probably not him. Danny Musovski is 30 now. Look, I know he is like a statistician's dream in some ways, but like, it ain't happening at this point.
He's Mike Grella. He's a nice feature piece you can throw on the outside and like, hey, when nothing else works, start. I mean, look, Grella would nutmeg anyone, and he had these skills that you just couldn't. But there's a reason he's 30 and he's just breaking in now.
Yeah, Paul Rothrock's 27, and like, look, I really like Paul Rothrock, but he's not going to do goals every week. He's going to score some important goals for you, absolutely, but he's not going to do it every week. Pedro de la Vega, if he can ever stay healthy, we'll see, but he's probably still also not going to do goals every week. This is the problem. They do not have a guy who's just going to do goals every week, and they haven't had that since the Peruvian guy. I'm bad at names today.
Oh wow, you got me too. That little guy with the shaved eyebrow.
Yep.
Rui Diaz.
Thank you. Oh, you saved us a lot of embarrassment there. Jackson Phelps was coming for us. Yeah. Look, ever since Rui Diaz, they just don't have that guy who's just like, I'm just going to put goals. I'm just going to put the ball in the back of the net, and that's what I do, and that's what I'm best at, and that's all I really care about. Anyway, underperformance for me, I teased it before, it's Austin. You cannot lose to Sporting Kansas City, especially when you're at home, and you can't lose in the way that Austin lost. The viewers, you can't see this, but I just dropped a picture into our notes document of the momentum and top stats for this game, because Austin got outplayed in every single way. Total shots, 8-20. Possession, 46% to 54%. Kansas City is running possession on you. This is bad. Expected goals, 0.37 for Austin, 1.52 for Kansas City. Touches in opposition box, 13-30. It's bad. It's bad. And the momentum chart is just Kansas City blue. So look, this isn't I'm not being disrespectful to Kansas City in this way. I said before, Kansas City occupies like a separate section right now because of all the change that they have gone through internally, and the fact that they're still in probably a multi-year rebuild process, and they are struggling through that, and teams should be able to take advantage of that. Austin is a team that should be in a much, much better place. It's terrible. Absolutely terrible.
Let's move on to what we got right. I have two good ones here for you. First, Nashville team total over 1.5 goals. That hit in the first 20 minutes. We mentioned without Surridge, Mukhtar was going to step up. Mukhtar got a hat trick in that match. Easy first half brace. So we're going to take a victory lap as kind of a team on that one. The other one that I wanted to bring up was
Madrigal. Called out Madrigal on that one as well, and he got the assist on that first goal. So if you had goal or assist for Warren Madrigal, that hit immediately.
Absolutely. The bigger one, this one was like my surprise of the week when I was looking through my predictions when I was going through my sports model. And the sports model said Houston's going to beat Vancouver. That's got to be wrong. So I took it on the draw no bet. Should have took it straight up. Would have been the play of the season. They win 1-0 over Vancouver. We had the under. You had the under. We picked that game exactly. We even said this is the one time that the under is going to favor the home team, not the away team. It's worth noting Houston Dynamo, 3 straight home wins, all of them by a scoreline of 1-0. However, we don't see him play again at home until July 23rd.
Yeah, this one, look, we absolutely nailed the analysis on this one. And I think a big part of it was the situation of these teams coming into it. It's a Vancouver side that's been on the road for like four straight games to that point. And a Houston side that had just been on the road at altitude and had lost by a significant amount, but it was all in the second half, and it was all after they started that altitude and that effort started to get to them, right? And so this is all about recognizing what has just happened to these teams over the previous weeks and that midweek period, and having the opportunity that the sportsbook gave us. So, but nailed the analysis on that one. The other one I want to call out is that Dallas and Earthquakes game. Sam Sarver, thank you for that. We both had both teams to score, no draw, and the both teams to score part hit pretty quickly. I was worried about the draw. The Quakes definitely made it nervy there, but they forgot to mark Sam Sarver, and he put it away. So that was pretty good.
Absolutely. We're kind of running around that half-hour line, so let's hit what we got wrong. I'll go first. DC United double chance and over 2.5. 1-0 to the away side most of the match. DC was down. Peglo equalizes in the 90th minute. Wallum gets red carded. Raul scored, but then it was called back. Final score on that was 1-1. The goal was canceled, but I do like the way the game went. I would have lost it for 93 minutes. It was just the very end, which, hey, gave me some excitement on a Saturday night. DC United hasn't done that in quite some time. St. Louis City certainly hasn't done that in a long time. It was still a good match, regardless of myself getting everything wrong.
Yeah. For me, Orlando and Atlanta, I thought this one had goals written all over it. It did not. We talked about Orlando's inability to sort of capitalize sometimes from positions where they're ahead. They take their foot off the gas. This game had a combined expected goal of 2.51, definitely well short of the over 3.5 that I was looking for. I think the thing that I really misanalyzed was that Atlanta did not have the firepower to score early enough to open the game back up. So even though Atlanta ran the game, they didn't score until pretty late. It's like the 86th minute is when they finally get their equalizing goal. So there's no reason for Orlando to get back on their horse and play soccer again. It's something about Atlanta's roster is all messed up. If you look at their players individually, you're kind of like, yeah, they're okay players. There's some nice players, but as a group, it really just does not work together. Look, it's good fight back from them to get a point on the road and to keep working and pushing and get something out of that game, but they're a long ways from good, man. I think if they had scored early, that this game had a chance, but anytime that Orlando's going to decide to just take their foot off the gas like that, you're kind of hoping that the other team will have to have enough firepower to just put up goals on Orlando all by themselves.
It's like a willful participant theory, like you can only, or these picks only mean something if both teams are going for it,
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And Orlando, I think, wasn't going for it. You see that they should have been able to have better possession and create more chances and stuff. They just didn't.
Now let's finish up with your free topic here. And the free topic is going around Vancouver and what happened in that last game. There was a red card and a suspension to Takioka. Andre Kubas picked up a yellow. He will be on yellow card suspension until after the World Cup break. So Vancouver heads to San Diego, and they are without arguably two of their best players.
Yeah, and I want to talk about the Takioka situation because this one I think is pretty ridiculous. Look, I don't think it's a red card, to be honest. I really don't. The ball, there's always going to be a big touch. The big touch is always going to take the ball away from goal towards the end line. You're in a wide space. Calling it dog so when there's a defender in the neighborhood is that's a big call to make, and controversial at best. And if we left it there, that's a whole conversation and episode all on its own. But today I saw that Yohei Takeoka was fined by the MLS disciplinary committee for failing to leave the field in a timely manner. And this offends me to my core because they posted the video. If you go to mlssoccer.com, you can find the article, and you can watch the video, and it's like 2.5 minutes long. It's 2.5 minutes before Takeoka leaves the field, which is really not that long. And it's actually probably one of the better examples of player behavior after a controversial red card that you will ever find, because at no point does he get big and demonstrative and in the face of the referee. He has one very brief, very respectful conversation. You can see body language is very, demure, very mindful. And then he just sits around and waits for the VAR check. That's all he does. He actually doesn't linger in his box. He does start working his way towards the midfield line. But when he can see that that the referee is talking to the VAR crew, he stops and he watches and he waits. And nothing he does has any realistic impact on restarting the game. And so I just think, look, it's a bad call already. And for the MLS disciplinary committee to basically double down and fine him after this, I think is just crazy. And I have other thoughts about Pro, but I just let's start there. I think this was an absolutely insane decision.
Yeah. I agree. I'm gonna have to go back and watch that. I definitely did not catch that in real time, but when I was reading your synopsis, I'm like, ooh, Scott's got an opinion. I like it.
Yeah, I don't know what they want him to do there, right? It's not like, okay, here's the red card. This is a very controversial thing. You're thinking there's no way it's dog, so it's definitely not violent conduct. You as a player think this should probably be overturned. And so you're not about to put your head down and run to the locker room and start getting undressed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what Pro really expects the players to do there. The player definitely doesn't interfere with the ref at any time. They're not handing out fines for, I think, a lot of worse behavior that goes on after those cards are given out by, to other players. I think the big thing for me, though, is that Pro has had a really rough season. There have been major controversies every week. That is the kind of thing that erodes trust. And you can see it in the players. It erodes the players' trust in the officials. You can see that the players have this expectation that the officials are getting stuff wrong and stuff might be overturned, and they don't just trust the refs have got it right. And, Pro is going around and issuing apologies to teams on a regular basis. RSL's received like 3 or 4 of them already this season. I'm sorry, you cannot engage in that kind of behavior and then go out and fine a player who actually handles a situation like this pretty well. I think I know
what it is. Instead of being in Houston, he would rather be in Vegas at that time when he was reffing that game. Maybe next season he'll get that.
Maybe next. Yeah. Look, conspiracy theorists jump all over this because this is the kind of thing that is like, yeah, this is MLS punishing Vancouver for existing. But
love it. All right,
that's guys, my free topic.
One final show before the World Cup break. That's coming Thursday. We'll keep it updated as soon as we see players moving around the league. Maybe some more coaching changes are going to be right around the horizon. Stay right here and you'll hear it all on the Designated Pundits. Thank you guys. Tune in next time.